Good morning, and welcome to Northern Lights Spiritual Center. My name is Reverend Vaughan Amaré. We here at Northern Lights Spiritual Center are a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Lights Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. We here acknowledge our presence on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient and current heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories.
May this be the day
as we work towards honoring
together.
And inviting the truth.
Mourning we come to mend, withered we come to weather, torn we come to tend, battered we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. We steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee.
So, that's a preview of today's reading that Mykal is going to share. For our opening song, we have In This Very Room by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh, Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room.
Good morning, and welcome to the first Sunday in a brand new year. This is the time you set aside each Sunday for a brief meditation. A time for us to go within, to center ourselves. And I invite us just to do that by getting comfortable wherever you're at, as comfortable as you can. And in that process, allow your body just to relax. releasing each and everything that has come before this moment. Any worries, any struggles, anything that pollutes the mind. And that can be good and bad. Just allow yourself to be present. Present in this very moment. Is anything that happens before or after this moment doesn't make any difference in this moment. And so as this being the beginning of the year, I'm going to invite us to go in and to tap into certain areas of our lives. But first, I just invite us to take a few nice deep breaths in and release. Another nice deep breath, allowing the breath to feed each and every cell and organ in your body. And release all that isn't needed within. One more time. Breathe in. And release. And if you're comfortable, I invite you to just close your eyes. And in this process, I'd like you to turn within. And first of all, contemplate a little bit on your inner life. That is your mental and spiritual well-being. Just allow yourself, allow your inner voice to reveal this to you. How is your mental and spiritual well-being? Now, I invite you to look at an idea of play, how that plays into your life. In the same way, how do your emotions play out in your life? your physical body. Play into your life. There are many other areas that play parts in your life. So many, almost countless. When you look at these and ask that question, what parts they play in your life, do it without judgment, without criticism. Allow yourself the freedom to open up to these ideas, suggestions. And just simply notice which areas feel expansive and which feel constricted. I believe more will be revealed in the talk today. And so at this point, I just invite you to just take a nice deep breath in again. Allowing it to cleanse and feed your inner body. All the cells, all the vessels, all the organs, your complete physical. And as you do that, when you feel comfortable, I invite you to open your eyes and come back to the room. And so it is. And now it's time for the reading. And some of you got a little preview of the reading because technology has its way of
See where we weren't. Oh,
there. This is
where we're now awake. Those
So this is Amanda Gorman, a poem she wrote for the end of the year, but I felt it was very appropriate to start the year.
May this be the day we come together. Mourning we come to mend, withered we come to weather, torn we come to tend, battered we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. We steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake. Those moments we missed are now these moments we make, the moments we meet. And our hearts, once all together beaten, now all together beat. Come, look up with kindness yet, for even solace can be sourced from sorrow. We remember, not just for the sake of yesterday, but to take on tomorrow. We heed this old spirit in a new day's lyric in our hearts. We hear it for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne. Be bold, saying time this year. Be bold, saying time, for when you honor yesterday, tomorrow ye will find. Know what we fought need not be forgot, nor for none. It defines us, binds us as one. Come over, join this day just begun. For wherever we come together, we will forever overcome.
So you see the words for this month's chant. I lift my eyes to the glory alive every day. You will. I lift my heart to the glory that thrives every day. I lift my mind to the stories to strive every day. I lift my life to memories that guide me today. I set my intention. I let it whisper and mention. The highest and best I will be. The highest and best I will be. I lift my eyes to the glory alive every day. I lift my eyes to the glory that thrives every day. I lift my mind to the stories that strive every day. I lift my life to the memories that guide me today. I set my intention, let it whisper and mention. The highest and best I will be. The highest and best I will be. We are having technical difficulties, so sing along as you may be able to. Now you lift your eyes to the glory alive every day. You lift your hearts to the glory that thrives every day. You lift your mind to the stories to strive every day. You lift your life to the memories that every day. We lift our mind to the stories that strive every day. We lift our lives to memories that guide us today. We set our intention, let it whisper and mention the highest and best we will be. The highest and best we will be. that song is by Faith Rivera, God Is. And I thought it was a very important way to welcome the new year, to welcome the new themes, to welcome how it is that we may choose to step up. I dare say that as she sang, as she moved, she expressed what it is to breathe consciously, what it is to sing, what it is to speak truth, what it is to make love her career. And this New Year time, so often we link it with the notion of resolutions. And many people just decide they're not going to make resolutions anymore because they find that they resolve to do X, Y, and Z, and by the end of the year when they look at it, they've done neither X, nor Y, nor Z. So an alternative I learned about years ago from Reverend Kathy Ann Lewis at Center for Spiritual Living was to shift that around and to let go of resolutions, because resolutions are promises that we make. And a lot of people just aren't very good at promises, particularly to ourselves. How many times might we critique ourselves or criticize the fact that we wanted to do this and we didn't get there? And rather than being an experience that pulls us forward, it sets us back. So an alternative is the notion of setting an intention. And an intention is not a specific outcome that we seek from this year, but it's the why we do everything in the year. Why are we here today? Are we here today to say, I am a place through which love shows up. I am a place through which curiosity is longing to be filled. I am a place that is delight, that is questing to be shared. The theme for this month is that spiritual living doesn't only happen on Sundays. It doesn't only happen when we're meditating. Spiritual living is a way of living. And it happens each and every moment. And that song, God Is, this moment is the expression of the divine right here, right now. If you're on Zoom and you look at the other faces on what's happening, you are seeing the face of God. You are seeing the face of the divine. When we wake up and we look in the mirror to get ready, well, maybe others don't need to look in the mirror and get ready. I definitely need to do that. Am I open to the prospect of seeing God looking back at me? Or am I too busy looking at what I don't like, what I don't think of as beautiful anymore? For a number of years, people may know that I have had mixed white and black eyebrows. And I just didn't like it, so I colored them. And I tried to color my hair. You know, I got white very quickly. And then I realized that some of the people that I admired the most had gray hair. And I thought, well, you know, I basically set that out as being beautiful, and now I've got it and I'm not liking it. Like I said, an intention is the why we do what we do. So, at the start of this talk, I'm going to invite us to take a moment to consider how it is and what it is and why it is that we are going to do what we are wanting to do this year. The themes for this year are everyday wonder, living in everyday wonder. And Mykal was very annoyed by that because he had already established the intention of wonder. So he had this whole thing identified, and yet the Centers for Spiritual Living came up that the whole year was about wonder. Well, I dare say that he was just ahead of his time. What is it that's going to be each of our whys for this year? One of the things I love about that song is that faith offers so many whys. For me, my why is going to be love. So my intention for the year is love. So the intention is what is going to pull me towards the future. Now, again, I can't speak to anybody else's intention, but I can say the kinds of things that others have inspired for me. I see Stephanie on the Zoom call, and she's our practitioner, and she is this amazing expression of creativity. When she is physically here, she is just always this creative, beautiful presence to just see. And to just wonder, what is Stephanie going to wear today? What is Stephanie going to have seen and put together? What is she going to have found? And how will my life be made bigger by that? I'm seeing Phyllis. And I know that Phyllis is this center point of amazing care. This center point that children and grandchildren and cousins and nieces, she talked about how at their holiday gatherings, there are more than 100 people that are coming to her home. And she never even thought about what the actual number was, because she is just this place of generosity, this place of giving. I think about the founding minister, Reverend Pamela Grace Beatty. And this person who danced at Mykal and my ordination, who put into movement the expression of beauty. And she's done that going on into a jazz singing career, and she's done that making her artistry. We got a gift from her of mugs with her paintings on the mugs, so that we can start the morning being inspired. We go out the door and there are 2 of her pictures that we see when we come into the house, and we see as we leave the house, and we see it from the living room all the time. I describe all of this with the intention of proposing possible themes, possible intentions that people might set. Mykal has been very tolerant of me because I really enjoy a program called Doctor Who. And Doctor Who, they've done a 5-day marathon. So there's been nothing on this one channel except Doctor Who episodes. And when I think about the kinds of intention that I see that character, the Doctor, establish, the Doctor has repeatedly talked about care. The Doctor has repeatedly talked about standing up and taking action to do what seems impossible. So I would propose or imagine that the Doctor's intention is about love and care. One of the things about the character of the Doctor is that the Doctor goes through a process called regeneration. So over the course of many seasons, one of the things that's fascinating is that the doctor continues to be different, to have different faces. So a lot of times when you have television programs, the whole point is to have everybody stay kind of consistent. This turns that on its head. The doctor and the selected companions who choose to be with the doctor continue to change. And why I find that so inspiring is that isn't that how each of us are? When we look at our own faces in the mirror, are we the same as we were 10 years ago? Are we the same as we were 30 years ago? One of the things about little children is that you see a new picture every year, and while you see things of the past, you also see new things. The holidays are a time when people send cards, and they show pictures of their family. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at them now. Look how different they are. So one of the things that I find really compelling about that story is the notion that change is a fundamental nature, but at the core of us, there is something consistent. The other thing that's in that story is this magic phone box. And it's called the TARDIS. Time and relative distance in space. The TARDIS. And one of the common things that people say is, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. It shows up and people come out of it, they're like, wow, that was a lot of people that were inside there. And then a person might go in and they're like, oh my gosh, it's bigger on the inside, with the exception of one character. One companion made the comment, it's smaller on the outside. And the thing about the TARDIS that I dare say is how each of us are. We are all bigger on the inside than we are on the outside. We are all these places of divine expression, which is without limits. So I love that the metaphor that the TARDIS holds, that this vehicle that travels through time and through space, and that has the doctor arriving at the right time in the right space, is this magical vehicle that is bigger on the inside and smaller on the outside. It's so easy in today's world to get caught up in what the outside looks like, to be distracted by the outside. My intention about loving is to catch myself more quickly when I fall into judgment. A judgment that I fall into very repetitively these days is the notion of people that are so adversarial and argumentative about the COVID virus, who act as if it's just a hoax. People who act as if the notion of wearing a mask or the notion of being vaccinated is this terrible impingement on their freedom. And it just irritates me. And that's the smaller on the outside me that lets myself be irritated by this. How do I be more like the TARDIS and let my bigger inside show up? Well, one of my commitments, one of the ways that I hope to live my intention of love is to catch myself more quickly and just don't get into it. To just not talk about it, to not spend so much energy. So, if I am to be an effective TARDIS, if I am to be an effective doctor, like the character, the doctor, I may try to embody some of the things that have been presented in that story over seasons and seasons and seasons. One particular doctor, at the time of his regeneration, said to always be kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slight adjustment from the kind of mantra I had as a child from my mother, which was be nice. And I remember hearing the statement purportedly by Winston Churchill. If you're not going to say something nice, a woman with whom he was talking came up to him and said, "My Lord Churchill, you are very drunk tonight." And he said, "Madame, I may be drunk tonight, but tomorrow I will be sober. But in the morning you will be a completely hideous person the same way you are tonight." How often might our judgments prevent us from kindness? Kindness is a different animal than niceness. Niceness is about being small. Niceness is about not being noticeable. Niceness is about being in the background and letting things go on. Kindness is around courage to do what is good, to do what is right. Imagine what would have happened if we lived in a world with more kindness, so that when Rosa Parks sat on the bus in the part that was identified for whites only, if a white person had responded with kindness and said, "This limit is crazy. You who have been standing on your feet working all day long should be able to sit here. And I, who've had my big fat butt in my desk chair, my comfortable desk chair, I could manage to stand for 10 minutes on this bus." Rosa Parks chose to be kind to herself. She chose to be kind on behalf of other African Americans who have been treated so poorly. She chose to sit down. Sometimes kindness is an action that may appear passive, but in fact, her sitting down led to how much? I want to share two more main ideas for today's talk. And I'm going to take it from today's affirmation that we're going to use at the end, but I'm going to give it to you now so that you can be holding on to it and thinking about it. And maybe Mykal will send it out tomorrow, and if he doesn't, you can say it to yourself later on today. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. The founder of this teaching, the founding of the science of mind, the founder who inspired Centers for Spiritual Living, when asked how to pray, offered, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There was a declaration that Earnest Holmes made. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. And further on, he said, we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree to which we become conscious of it. So that the first part of that affirmation, the I live, how do we let ourselves be intentional about our living? How do we turn on the sense of wonder? How do we turn on our sense of intention? How do we wake up and not just move through our lives as if this was a bland passing of time? People know that I'm a pretty excited kind of person. Mykal has characterized me as passionate. I really am inspired by what I see around me. I worked with a child the other day, and when I asked her, what 3 wishes would you ask for from a genie? This child had the generosity of spirit to say, I would wish, and she didn't have to think long, she didn't have to ponder. She said, I wish that all those who are homeless would have a home. I wish that all those who are hungry would be fed and have more than enough to eat. And her last wish was, I wish that everybody who needs care receives that care. Can I tell you what an inspiration it was to get to sit with this little Buddha, to get to sit with this presence of love, this presence of kindness, this presence of generosity. And the fact is that we all get to encounter these Buddhas. We all get to be Buddha. We all get to be the Christ. We all get to be the light of the divine. So my being passionate and excited is not some rare or weird response to the world. It's just an intentional and deliberate response to the world. Let us become aware and open to the enormity that life is. Like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, let us see how life is so much bigger than we let our eyes see and we let our lives experience. Let us see ourselves going into life as this enormity, as this space of wonder, rather than just, more of the same. Joseph Campbell wrote, I think what we are seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experience on the purely physical plane has resonance within our innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. I live. Let us live rapturously. Let us live from our intentions. Let us live from what we've set as is our why. Let us live and embody that why. Again, I remember years ago, Kathy Ann Lewis set an intention, and she was quiet about it. Years later, she described how she knew that she wasn't in a particular way of moving through the world. And it was by setting the intention that she found herself receiving compliments about the very thing that she ascribed to becoming. She had talked about how her grandmother was this embodiment of kindness, and that wasn't something that she didn't feel was in her wheelhouse. And she didn't speak it as a public statement, I am going to be kind like Grandma. She said it deep in her heart as an intention that will pull her forward. And she had people say to her out of the blue, this was so kind. What you have done is so kind. So she heard what it was that she set. Let our own intentions, let them make themselves manifest through us. It doesn't have to be by saying, well, I'm here because I'm all about love. But first of all, it sounds kind of weird. I'm here because I'm all about truth. I'm here because I'm all about beauty. I am here because I'm all about wholeness. I am here because I am all about the highest and best. Let our why, let our reason express itself through us. And we may not know how to do it, but by setting it, we get there. Again, that's one of the things that happens time and time again, every episode in Doctor Who. Doctor Who tells the TARDIS, take us where we need to go. And they land there. Let our bigger insides take us to where we're needed. Now the second point, if that first point is about living and living intentionally and living consciously, is the notion of everyday wonder. Spiritual living allows us to reveal the magnificence and extraordinary presence within us all. We identify Northern Lights Spiritual Center as a place that provides spiritual and practical tools to make positive changes in our lives. Tools don't mean a thing if we don't use them. We've all heard about tools of affirmation. We've heard about tools of journaling. We've heard about tools of spiritual mind treatment. We've heard about tools of prayer. We've heard about tools of meditation. We've heard about tools. How do we pull them out and use them to better reveal and to better envision everyday wonders? Earnest Holmes had said, we believe that heaven is within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. It's so easy to become conscious of what's on the outside. I can tell you it's easy for me to be irritated that social media is clickable so that teenage girls end up feeling insecure about their bodies. That they end up feeling like they're not good enough. I can be irritated that there are algorithms designed to hijack how the human mind works. What do I do with that irritation? In Faith Revera's song, God Is, she talks about her sadness. She says that the sadness is the place where she finds that she can be comforted. I don't have to just fall into the pit of my anger. As I remain conscious and intentional about it, I can let it transform me. Everyday wonder is the fact that, like the doctor whose face can change, that something new might emerge. I was telling my daughter and her girlfriend last night that one of the things that I really love about the doctor is the doctor really models the capacity to change and grow. And this is something that Stephanie Scranton, our practitioner, and I have shared. We love movies and stories. Part of it is that they put into life possibilities that are hard to imagine. Talked about this before, but there's the story in The Last Holiday, where she would come home from work every day and she would produce this amazing meal, and then she'd give it to the neighbor kid because she didn't want to eat it. She was going to eat, some kind of Weight Watchers or lean cuisine or something. And yet she just made this glorious meal. Yeah. And when she found out that she was going to die, that she had 3 weeks, she woke up and she got to cook with someone who had been her idol in terms of, I want to go to this place, and she decided to go to this place. Well, the fact is that we can all go to the places just like she did. We all can treat every day as the last holiday. How do we make it every day of our life this wonderful place? And instead of playing it so small, instead of just being nice, so, before I close out with our affirmation, I just want to bring back the notion of that wheel of life that Mykal proposed in the meditation. And Mykal's going to show it on the screen.
Successfully, yes, this time.
He believes successfully. We will see. There it is. And he's going to provide a link so that you can actually have this, and you can print it, and you can play with it to find out, to mark where in our lives do we find ourselves on the spokes of this wheel. If we feel expansive, then it's towards the outer edge. If it's feeling constricted, then it's closer to the inner edge. To use this as a way to think about how it is that I am living now and how it is that I'll want to live. Where are we simply being nice versus where do we want to be kind? Where is it that we have been invisible, and where are we willing to grow to be vibrantly visible? To be a model. And not with the intention of having other people come up to us and say, wow, I really am impressed at your physical prowess. Again, because that would feel kind of creepy and kind of weird. But that we set with our intention a specific place or specific places in our lives where that intention might identify more fully. Again, I love that the phrase in the song, God is, that where I work, love is my career. Because I know that where she works, Stephanie's career is beauty. I know that where Phyllis engages with her family, that is generosity. I know that where Sherry shows up in the world, Sherry is a place of greater wisdom that is expressed, that becomes known, that becomes knowable. And I make these statements because I think it's important to affirm what's easy for us to see. But we can neglect to say what is so easy to see. Mykal makes a point of making a delicious meal every day. Left to my own devices, I will be perfectly happy with a pot of water and macaroni. But it wouldn't be very healthy, and it wouldn't be very interesting. Mykal loves feeding people and feeding them with something that is delicious and vibrant and life-giving. So the homework is to look over this Wheel of Life tool and do as much as you can. I'm not even going to offer do as little as you can. I'm going to say do as much as you can. And if it's one spoke, awesome. If it's all spokes, awesome. The consciousness about where we are lets us become more intentional about where we want to go and who we want to become and how we will let our intention make us bigger, make us greater, expand the world. So with all of that said, I bring us back to our sentence, our affirmation. So, I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. Those are the words again. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. So now I'm going to invite you all to join me in that. So I'm going to say it and then you repeat it. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. Now, that's one time. Now get more enthusiastic about it. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. And a last third time to make it really hit home. I live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Vaughan. For one thing, I don't know if anybody heard, but a couple of things he brought up. gave me laughter. And I so appreciate being able to laugh, because sometimes I don't do it enough. As he was stating about, we can get down, you know, on things happening in the world and by things we do that we aren't happy with, and actually by being very judgmental. But when you laugh, it does something to your body. I know it does to me. It just, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of tingles, you know? It takes away everything that isn't part of that laughter. And I want to thank you for that. I choose to experience more of that this year in that wander. Not wander, but I may wander while I'm wandering, or wonder why I'm wandering, but you know. I love the affirmation to live intentionally expressing everyday wonder. That is I have to put that somewhere where I will see it. And I have to do that with things, because otherwise I will see it or hear it or whatever, and then, you know, I go on about my business and I forget. So I need to be reminded. And I wrote down a thing for myself. I wrote down the question is, what gave you wonder today? And I think that is I'm going to use that as my affirmation for the year. What gave me wonder for this day? So I thank you for your talk today. And I thank everyone that tuned in. And I will be sending out the life work, the Wheel of Life tool, and I'll send out the part of the meditation that goes along with this. It's kind of like a guideline. And I want to thank everyone who supported us for the, what is it, like 16 years, 17 years that we've been in existence. Each person that has supported us in so many ways, you know. You support us with your presence, your love, your support, in however that looks. And so I give thanks for that. It is a thing of wonder. This life, my life, your life, our life, to me is a miraculous wonder. Our existence, this body that we have, the workings of the body, it's magnificent. And we, as a body, come together to form, to create, to live, to breathe, to support Northern Lights Spiritual Center. And I give thanks for that. And as we move out into the week, I just raise and praise each person in love, in light, and in wonder. And so it is.
So it is.